a crazy, crazy fun fact. And you must be in the 0.0001 percentile of people who have never drunk coffee.
I know.
And you've been coming to Saudi a few times now. I'm surprised they didn't attack you in the airport with Saudi coffee.
They do.
They do, and you're like, nope.
It's
Where's my chamomile?
It's actually the craziest thing, because when I think about it, I'm like, how have I not tried coffee before? And I don't know why. I love the smell of it, but I had a little sip once and I was like, this is not for me.
Really?
I know.
Wow.
It's a shame. I'm Lebanese. We make the best coffee. I always want to improve. I want to be better. I love to hear constructive criticism. I love when someone tells me, hey, I want to tell you something. I'm like, yeah, tell me more. Like, I want to be better. It's like this perfectionist older child syndrome, maybe.
Something worse than people saying, oh, Jessica, you're amazing. You're amazing. Sometimes you do want to hear, actually, Jessica, you could have been better there.
And it takes good friends and good people around you to tell you that, because there are people who only surround themselves with people who clap for them and toot their horn and tell them how you're right, and like everyone else is, wrong, and, that I'm totally against. And I know that I have good friends, because whenever I speak to my best friends about a situation, about work, anything, they're like, you did this wrong, or you did this right, but why don't you look at it this way and that way? And that's genuine friendship,
What is something that you'll never want to put up with? A human characteristic that you'll never stand for?
We're moving beyond. Using our past to propel. Sharing our culture. Nature. Heritage. Hospitality. Progress. With the rest of the world. Welcome to our future. Welcome to Saudia. Built on big ideas and a passion for change. Inspired by heritage and progress. Made by dreams and determination. We exemplify it all. Come find your place in it. With it. With us. Our future starts now. Saudia. This is how we fly.
You wear many hats, Jessica. You have your philanthropic side, you have your modeling side, you have your business side. Is there a hat from the ones that you do wear, there's probably more that I didn't mention, that you enjoy or you find yourself enjoying wearing the most?
I think we all wear a lot of hats. Like, when people ask me that, I think, okay, I have a few things that I'm involved in. Work-wise, I'm so fortunate to, work with my mom, with our food business, Mama Rita. I'm working with my dad. We're launching something soon. I get to work with amazing creatives in the fashion industry. But I think we all have different hats. Some people have like the mother hat, the father hat, the daughter hat. When you have different hobbies, you wear different hats. So I love not pigeonholing myself into like one thing. And I love mixing up and changing these hats throughout the day based on my mood or throughout the week. But I can't tell you that I prefer one over the other, because they all give me like a very different sense of gratitude and fulfillment. And I do each one with so much passion. So I'd never put a hat on for something that I'm not so crazy about.
Which one do you think, there's a word that I'm trying to find that'll hit exactly on what I mean. Which hat accentuates the personality of Jessica? Which one suits you the most? Which one are you best wearing?
Lately, I would have to say Mama Rita. Like, I've preferred being away from the camera a little bit more and a little less, sorry, and actually focusing more on Mama Rita and our food business because, first of all, it's such a passion project for me. And whenever I talk about Mama Rita, people tell me you have such a passion in your eyes and excitement that, they want to order it the next day. They're just so excited to learn more. And I think lately it's been that. It's definitely been that.
Okay, talk to me about Mama Rita. I'm going to Dubai tonight.
Are you?
I'm there for 2 days.
Okay.
And I've seen enough on social media to tell myself I'm going to try it.
To want to try it?
Yes. What's the story? Who was behind it?
It's an amazing story, actually.
A to Z.
So, okay, growing up, my mom used to cook the most amazing food at home. She was incredible. Sometimes she would finish a whole day of cooking. We would be sitting at the TV. It's 11 p.m. at night. And she'll sit up and say, I'm going to bake a cake. And she'll go into the kitchen. Luckily, we had a beautiful open kitchen to the living room and start baking a cake while we watch TV. And all my life, I would hear people say, Rita, you have to do something with your food. It's amazing. And she would always say, leave me alone. And that's all I want to do. I just want to cook for my family and make sure everyone's happy and my friends. And that's it. Like, there's no way I'm going to do a business. Fast forward into COVID. So it was the onset of COVID, February 2020. And my mom actually got stuck in Dubai from Australia. And we were randomly invited to some family friends tasting for their food brand. They were launching this amazing summer rolls brand, like Vietnamese summer rolls. And it was delicious. And they invited us because they knew that my mom knows how to cook and, her food's impeccable and they just wanted an outside opinion. So we went and I said to them, my mom cooks amazingly. I think I want to do a cookbook or something for her. And they're like, why don't you launch a food brand, a food delivery business? I'm like, me? Food delivery? What do I know about food delivery? I studied law, I studied business finance, okay, but, I'm working in fashion, but food, that's a whole new world, it's a whole new industry. And so they said to us, no, you can, meet this cloud kitchen in Dubai and see how you go. I said, okay. And they said, you just give them your recipe and that's it. And my mom's like, okay, we give them the recipe and that's it. And I'm like, that's it. Let's do it. Sounded too simple. Little did we know, obviously, we went to the meeting and inside it was quite funny because they kept looking at me saying, are you sure you want to launch a food brand? I said, yeah, this is going to be great. Are you sure? This is really hard work. I'm like, we don't just give you the recipe and that's it? And they said, there's a little more you have to do. I said, listen, it's COVID. My mom's stuck here. I think this is what we want to do. So we took everything that we had to do, market lists and yields and things I've never heard of, terms I've never heard of in the food business. And we went away for 3 months. We worked on the whole brand, the brand development side of it, the marketing, the brand image, everything from A to Z, the recipes. And we went back to this cloud kitchen and they looked at us and they said, okay, this is amazing.
Wow.
You're entering all our kitchens for free. And we're like, all the kitchens? They had multiple kitchens. They're like, yep, you're coming in. This is going to be great. This was in April. May, June, July, we taught everyone. We trained the chefs and sous chefs, 2020. And we launched in September. And the first month, mashallah, we sold over 10,000 meals just on mamarita.com.
In 1 month?
In 1 month. So we knew then that there's an appetite for something new, something homey, something that people feel like they're eating just like their mom's house or grandma's house. And you don't have to be Lebanese, you could be any nationality to feel that the food is homey and made with love. So we launched September 2020 and the rest is history.
I'm not in the food business, but 10,000 meals in your first month is mashallah, incredible numbers. This was 4 years ago. And
yeah, I mean, we've surpassed 1 million meals now. So it's
in totality, yeah?
In total, yeah.
So is it a restaurant now or is it still cloud?
So today we have the food delivery business, but we also have special events, a B2B business, catering. We're growing, and this year, inshallah, we'll be rolling out into brick and mortar.
What was the hardest part of putting it together? The biggest challenge in doing this?
I think you have to remember I entered an industry I had zero experience in.
Yeah, law to this.
I mean, yeah, and I didn't have any mentors in that industry. Everyone I knew was outside of the food business. So it was about making a lot of mistakes at the beginning. It was about not having maybe the right guidance throughout. We did, sometimes we take 10 steps forward and a couple back. Sometimes we missed out on certain projects because we didn't have the team to actually execute certain things. But it's been such a good learning process. And I think you always have to hire people who know more than you. It's a no-brainer. You have to hire people who have done it before, who can advise you, who you trust, and who can help guide you.
Do you remember anyone telling you not to do it?
Oh, plenty.
Advising you to.
Are you joking? I mean, all I heard was don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. What are you doing? What are you getting yourself into?
It's saturated.
It's saturated. It's hard work. Stick to fashion. Why don't you go and open a makeup business or a makeup brand? But, plenty. My gosh. I mean, and I think if I had known what was waiting for me, I probably would have thought about it twice. But, of course, so many people told me not to do it. But, I think I didn't want to do anything that didn't have meaning. And I could have done a fashion brand. I could have launched a beauty brand. But launching Mama Rita, which is food for all, right? Our slogan is feeding the world as a mother would. For me, it was democratic. It was accessible to everyone. I could walk into a room and everyone could eat Mama Rita, but not everyone could maybe buy my lipstick or buy maybe a brand I create. So you have a lot of variety in tastes when it comes to these other businesses. But with food, I can be like, Mo, try Mama Rita. It's amazing. And you'll try it. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. But I'm sure you will.
I'll give you my honesty.
Yeah, give me your full feedback. And I just wanted to do something meaningful. And for me, it just had so much meaning. We had such a strong story. My mother's personal recipes from her cookbook that are now available to everyone.
Talk to me about Mama Rita, the mama.
Mama Rita.
I'm sensing that you guys have a bond that is like no other. What's she like as a person, as a human being?
My mom is my soft spot. So if I tear up, I'm sorry in advance. But
I'll give you some Kleenex.
My mom is one of the most resilient, powerful, elegant, kind. As beautiful as she is on the outside, it doesn't compare to her beauty on the inside and her white heart. And I don't know if you know this, but my mom struggled with cancer on and off for the last 9 years. Both my parents have. So the way I've seen her navigate through her illness, through her business, through being a mom, has just been something you write books about with such elegance, without complaint, it's like she lives for her family. And I remember a story actually that happened. It was during her first ever chemo sessions 9 years ago. And I was flying back and forth between Dubai and Australia to be with her. And there was 1 month where I couldn't. And I was so down. I was in Dubai. I was so incredibly down. And I was going through a very, very hard time. And my mom asked her doctor in Australia, she said, "Can I fly to Dubai in between my chemo sessions? My daughter needs me."
Now I know what kind of a person she is.
Now you know. It's, when I have the flu, sometimes I'm in bed and I can't move for 2-3 days. I mean, this woman, in between her chemo sessions, she had the strength. Mothers have a different strength. She found the strength to get on a plane for a few days because her daughter needs her.
Oh, she actually did it.
She did. She did. Without me knowing, I found out later. Obviously, I wouldn't have allowed her, but she did. So that's the woman behind Mama Rita.
And your father?
My dad, he's a gem. My dad's a hard worker. I mean, I learned my work ethic really from both my parents. My dad is an incredibly hard worker. He has impeccable taste. He's a jeweler. And, it's great because I used to ask him for fashion advice. I used to always, get dressed, wear my jewelry, and he would say, "Okay, let me have a look," and, give me his little opinion. And I trust him a lot. He's a wonderful father. I mean, he worked very hard for his family. I think no one is really perfect. When we talk about our parents, I mean, we do idolize them, but at the end of the day, he worked very hard. So I didn't see him so much growing up. But, he worked for his family again.
That's often the struggle that working mothers or fathers have. You want to provide the best possible life for your kids, and you can only do that by working. But by working, you are away from your kids for hours.
Yeah.
So how do you balance the two? I think is one of the biggest challenges in grown-up life.
I mean, you have a family, right?
And I'm on the road for 5 days now.
Yeah.
And I know tonight my 2-year-olds will ask my wife, where's Baba?
Where's Dad?
And you compile those 5 days here, 3 days there. At the end of the year, I've been out of their lives for maybe over a month.
Mm.
And
it adds up.
It adds up. And
Yeah.
and you always, when I was at my corporate job, I didn't travel as much. So I was there for my eldest son, who's 7 now.
Mm.
But now with the twins, with me being in Riyadh twice a month, I have missed out on many, many days. And it's like one of life's biggest conundrums. Do I work and on the road, or do I spend more time with them? But luckily with this, I could spend more time at home.
I'm sure later they will appreciate you so much for what you've done and the impact you're making in the world. I mean, you're making such a big impact, interviewing amazing people, and all this is for you and your family. But I do believe in striking a balance, because while someone can understand something, it may not be the way they feel. So understanding and feeling are very different things.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're doing amazing, striking a good balance. You're
trying to.
Yeah. 5 days is okay.
Yeah. Australia, growing up there, third culture kid. How difficult was it to live there, be there? You're not from there, Lebanese background. Do you have fond memories of Australia?
I love Australia. I mean, I was born and raised in Australia. I went to university there.
No accent.
I do have an accent, but I tame it.
Really?
Yeah, they tamed it for me. When I first went to Dubai, they were like, "Listen, who's this Australian girl?" They're like, "Please, we cannot understand you." So I had to start rolling my R's. Now I say water, not water.
Oh, wow.
I need water. You
So
got
when
water?
If you're around Australians, would you...
Forget about it. I'm back to like my roots.
You'd flip it.
Yeah. It happens automatically. Like I hear the accent and I'm like the antennas come out and I'm like, Australian
So
accent.
you still got
And
it.
then it's no, I have it. It's very thick. And sometimes if I'm speaking to someone non-Australian immediately after, the accent still lingers for a few more minutes. So they're like, "Were you just talking to someone Australian?" It's like flipping from a Scottish to an American accent. They're so different.
It's a talent, by the way, to be able to flip
I
like that.
swear I don't do it on purpose. I swear. It's
Subconscious.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's very...
And how long has it been since you've moved to Dubai and away from Australia?
So I moved 13 years ago to Dubai.
Okay.
And it was amazing because I wanted to be in the Middle East. I loved Lebanon. I knew that wasn't the place to live for me back then. And I saw that Dubai was kind of growing. There was a lot happening there. And I got an offer for a TV show there. So I chose to pursue that path I said 3-month project and I'll be back home. So my dad sent my mom with me. It was like a whole family, kind of meeting, congregation to decide if I can go to Dubai for 3 months. But we just kept extending and extending and extending. And, I think going back to Australia, what's funny is in Australia, I was the Lebanese, and in Lebanon, I was the Australian. And boy, did I live a Lebanese upbringing at home, whether it was the food we ate or the language we spoke. We weren't allowed to speak in English at home. Well, I've never heard my parents speak English. To even every single year, my parents really wanted us just to go to Lebanon, to see our family, to see our friends, to be with the people, to be, within Lebanon's ecosystem and not just be contained to Australia and the Australian way of life. So I was lucky to have had, a balance of both.
So once a year, you'd go back to check
Once
in
a year, summer, 3 months, they would ship us there with my parents, my mom, whoever wanted to go that year. And yeah, we'd just be Lebanese for 3 months.
It's beautiful there in the summer.
Isn't it amazing?
Can't beat it.
Look, I think everyone is going this year. There's some sort of stability. And
I'm sensing from what I'm seeing in the news with the new president.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
They really deserve it. The people deserve it. The country has been through so much. I mean,
every year we say it's been through so much, something crazier happens. I think if it had stability, Lebanon would be a global force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
The whole ski in the morning and beach in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Where else can you do something like that? And the people, Jessica, the people.
The people. I know. The people, يعني الجنة بلا ناس ما بتنداس, right? And what's a little sad is we've had such a big brain drought in Lebanon, where you've had so many talented people escape, basically, especially after the Lebanon explosion, the economic collapse. I mean, you've had such a devaluation in every sense of the word that people who felt like they were not able to be their best selves in terms of career or family had to make this very difficult choice to leave Lebanon. So now, I mean, I see a lot of people actually choosing to go back to live there full time, and others, going back for vacation.
You had an exodus of human capital, which is such a loss for the country.
Yeah.
But that's really good to hear that you think and you feel that things are on a reverse and things are changing for the better.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hopefully Saudis can be allowed to go back come summertime, because we haven't been allowed to go for 5 years now.
And didn't the embassy reopen, or there was talk?
I'll fact check it when this episode airs. We'll see where we're at. So I do this thing now on the show where if I say something like, the other day I said Asian Winter Games in Neom in 27, and it was 29. So we have a box that comes up that says fact check 29 Asian. So we'll see what the status is of but hopefully come summer, 5 months from now, we can go, because there's nothing like it.
There's nothing.
Really. Inshallah, soon.
Inshallah.
Your philanthropic work, you're known for it. When I Googled your name and when I spoke to the team about having you on the show, unanimously they said her philanthropic work is something that we need to kick off with. We didn't kick off with that, but tell me about the work that you've done, the work that you want to do, and maybe some stories that have touched you along the way.
So Look, I've always been someone who feels very deeply, who's very empathetic. And I think sometimes to a fault, where other people's problems become my problems. And I really take on the weight of any crises, whether it's a friend or a humanitarian crisis. And I really put it in my heart and on my shoulders and try to find ways to fix it. And ever since I was young, my parents always said, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a lawyer, you're always debating. I was great at debate at school and in university, and I ended up studying law and specializing in human rights law. And so I think bringing the two together, empathy and law, it was very natural for me to stand up for causes or for marginalized people without a voice, as issues were occurring. And I remember one of my very first, things that I advocated for was the Syrian crisis, at the onset of the Syrian war. And it touched me deeply. My grandfather is Syrian. It was, a horrendous situation. I had just moved to Dubai, and I didn't see a lot of activism being done online. And I thought that people were only interested in fashion and clothes and makeup and all that. And I was very scared to start talking about it. This was over 10 years ago. And luckily, to my surprise, everyone received it so well in the sense of how can I help as well? What can I do to contribute? How can we go on the ground and help these people? And this was the beginning of a huge wave of activism online, whether it was for me or other people, in the region. And since then, I've visited numerous refugee camps with UNICEF. I visited 2 Syrian refugee camps where I learned about the plight of Syrian refugees. I met the families. And you have to remember, people don't donate to statistics, they donate to human stories. So what was amazing is bringing these people's stories and their voices online or in the media, in global forums I was speaking in, and helping them share their stories and their will to just go back home. And you can almost copy and paste this crisis with the Rohingya refugees. For example, I visited Kutupalung camp in Cox's Bazar with UNHCR.
Where's that?
So it's in Bangladesh. It's in Cox's Bazar. It's the longest coastline in the world. Rohingya refugees were escaping Myanmar through the jungle or the river and being shot along the way until they arrived in Bangladesh. And it's one of the largest and fastest growing refugee camps in the world. There are over 600,000 people in the camp. And it grows in waves. You have like the 90s wave, then the 60s wave, then 90s, and then I may be wrong a little bit with the dates, but every 20, 30 years, they had kind of like a big growth of the camp.
Almost like by generation, almost.
Yeah, it was kind of by generation. And you see kind of the beginning of the first, the camp, it's a bit more developed with markets, and then it kind of gets worse and worse. And as you drive in, you see people still building their tents. So it's like going back in time or going forward in time. And, there again, you have displaced children, no education, no health care, a complete disregard for human life. And using social media, which is kind of like crisis philanthropy and fundraising through decentralized platforms and peer-to-peer platforms where, you could speak about the crisis and fundraise right away and with 100% transparency show where the money's going. We were able to make such a difference. I mean, UNHCR's donations increased by 17% the time I was there. So these are things that impact me so much. It's mainly children. It's always focused around children and, trying to provide them with some sort of, pathway to the future or some sort of relief to the future. I mean, I could talk to you about so much. I mean, we could talk about the Palestinian crisis in Lebanon. I mean, we fundraised online all the time, and I'm so proud of my following. I love to talk about them because they're people who genuinely care. And every time there's a crisis or we need to fundraise, they're on board, they're fundraising, they're asking how they can help. I even built a small team just from my followers to help me with the distribution of funds in Lebanon. So
It's a beautiful thing. I'm proud of you for doing this. Wallah.
No. I mean, I feel, honestly, after you do all this, you feel like you've done nothing because so much more is needed.
Needs to be done.
And I think that's the tough part of it, because the funds get, dispersed and divided and distributed. And you're like, oh my goodness, they need trillions more to fix the situation.
Yeah. But to hear of people like you and, a few other people leading initiatives like what you're doing and rounding up people and creating these funds and rallying donations, it's a beautiful thing to see when someone gives back. We live in a world today where it's all about take. It's all about me. It's all about how much can I take for me?
Mm.
And for you to pause everything in your life and say, I want to give back. I take my hat off for you. And I hope it encourages other people with a platform.
Yeah.
Speaking to myself as well, to use that platform for good.
It's so easy to do it. And you don't need to have millions of followers. You just need to have empathy and choose a cause that really speaks to you. There are so many ways to give back, whether it's through business. I mean, we could also think about how can we integrate philanthropy into the DNA of people's businesses, and for them to actually find causes or find initiatives and projects, and every now and then, every quarter, every year, kind of integrate it into their business. I think it's important that we see it as a collective responsibility. I don't think philanthropy is individual at all. You can't make a difference by yourself. And there's such a misconception that, me alone, I cannot help, or I can't make a difference. But it's not true. I think every single person can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you don't have that much content online from like podcast, long form. I think this is your first, so thank you very much. But on the odd occasion where you do see something negative being said about you, I don't know if you read comments or not, do you engage? Do you rise above? Do you respond? How do you deal with the negativity that comes with the online space, if you have seen anything negative out there or positive?
I think anytime you put anything online, it's up for discourse, discussion, and divide. And I think there are very few things in this world where you can have a unanimous agreement on. Maybe we could talk about terrible things like mass murder, for example. I mean, no one thinks that's right. Or, that there are a number of things. But as soon as I put any opinion online, it's going to be up for discourse. And I'm pro discourse. I'm up for debate. I love when people actually give their perspectives and point of views. I'm, of course, against anything that is harmful or negative or defamatory or that could really harm someone. Luckily, I haven't been, subjected to that before. I try to be myself. I am quite private, so I don't share the day-to-day of my life. You do see pictures of my family, but you don't really go too deep into what's going on a daily basis. But I think I'm a simple person. I love to help. I love to work. I work in food. I work in fashion. And I defend marginalized people. So if anyone is to ever speak ill or poorly about that, it's on them. So luckily, I haven't had anything grave happen. But in the rare occasion that it does, you just have to say, let them.
I know a few people that regretted oversharing online. And I use that as a case study with myself. Share, but As much as you can, keep your private life your private.
Yeah.
So one specific person comes to mind right now. This person overshared, and he then said it was his biggest regret. So I think you're approaching it the right way, the perfect way, where you give people just enough.
Some things need to stay private. I mean, there's a purpose for social media. It's a tool. It's not a reality TV show. It's not a always on camera and always on mic for you and your life. You choose the topics that you want to speak about. And if people like that, they will follow you and they will continue to follow you for these specific topics. But I don't believe in social media being a reality show. So
biggest problem with social media is that people compare themselves to that person that is showing highlights of their life.
Exactly. I mean, this is the old tale, right, of social media. I think you just have to be self-aware. You have to know that people are showing glimpses of their lives and not to believe everything that you see. Sometimes you see very happy couples and then they're unfortunately divorcing the next week. People sometimes put the best highlights of their children online, but their children may be, still learning certain skills in other areas, and maybe that makes certain moms feel inadequate or that their children are not as good as other kids. Even in business, sometimes I talk about, some of the struggles in Mama Rita. I show the behind the scenes in the kitchens. It's been a while. I haven't done that. But when I did, it's just to show that it's not just, all pretty and beautiful.
There are days where you guys throw things at each other.
No, we haven't reached that moment yet. But there are no lasagnas flying in the kitchen.
Yeah, the saying, comparison is the thief of joy was the quote that came to mind. There are a few quotes I wanted to bounce off you and see how you react to them. Do you agree with, if life is too comfortable for you, you're probably on the wrong path?
I'm torn here because I like to create my comfort. I love to be happy, but I think if you're not striving for more, then you're not really dreaming anymore, right? You're capping yourself. I think life is all about uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable conversations, sometimes uncomfortable people.
Yeah.
But, you learn and you grow. And so, maybe I agree with that, actually.
There's good discomfort.
Yes.
Because it makes you want to challenge yourself and push yourself.
I love challenging myself. I always want to improve. I want to be better. I love to hear constructive criticism. I love when someone tells me, hey, I want to tell you something. I'm like, yeah, tell me more. Like, I want to be better. It's like this perfectionist older child syndrome, maybe.
You take it well? Constructive criticism?
Yeah, I want to be better. Like, how can I be better?
It's free audit.
Great.
Something worse than people saying, "Oh, Jessica, you're amazing. You're amazing." Sometimes you do want to hear, "Actually, Jessica, you could have been better there."
And it takes good friends and good people around you to tell you that, because there are people who only surround themselves with people who clap for them and toot their horn and tell them how you're right and like everyone else is, wrong and that I'm totally against. And I know that I have good friends because whenever I speak to my best friends about a situation, about work, anything, they're like, you did this wrong or you did this right, but why don't you look at it this way and that way? And that's genuine friendship,
Especially in the structure of like your organization. I think I had not a very good experience in corporate because it's so hierarchical. And after I heard someone online say, I just want peer-to-peer relationships, I told my team, and we're us four, it's peer-to-peer. Anyone can call anyone out on something. Mo, you could have been so much better on Jessica. How could you not have asked her this at that part? They call me out. So I think when you have that peer-to-peer where you're all linear and not hierarchical, good things happen because you don't feel, I think you do so well when you don't feel like you're working with someone who's your boss.
Yes.
They can call me out like I can call them out. And it works.
I do the same exact
You
thing
do?
at Mama Rita. I tell everyone on their first day of work, I say, you have to give me your truest, most raw opinion about anything we are discussing. And you have to call me out if you don't agree with something that I'm saying. And I hope you don't take offense when I call you out on something. And if you're able to work this way, first of all, you're way more efficient. You're faster, you're more agile, you're growing, you're honest, you're transparent. And people need to learn not to take things to heart. There are a lot of people who take things to heart, but it's not a reflection on them. It's just a reflection of how can we move forward and be better.
I'm getting an image of Gordon Ramsay's kitchen.
My mom is kind of the female version minus the swearing. Like, there have been situations where she'll walk in and she'll see something like, I remember it was the knefe once. It wasn't the right thickness. And she walked in with her glasses, put them right here, and kind of went level to the table where it was her head and the table like this. And she's like, I'm not serving this. Like,
Wow.
there's no way. Or she'll open something up and like inspect it with full silence, and we're all sitting around her like you could hear the crickets. She's like, why is it this it's always thickness. I don't know. She's like, why is it this thick? She loves like thin kebab, thin knefe. Yeah.
They're tastier actually when it's thinner.
Yeah.
Sometimes when that whatever you call that part.
L'ajine.
The ajine.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. When it's too thick, I find myself preferring the thinner ones where this goes from surface straight to meat.
Yeah.
I'm going to like Mama Rita.
You're going to love Mama Rita. Do you like kebab laban?
Yeah, all of that. Anything Lebanese.
Amazing.
As long as it's not like, that's what I like, because I'm not big of a seafood eater. Lebanese
we don't
food,
have much seafood.
It doesn't have that. So that's why
I love meats, yogurts, rice. It's so good.
Yeah.
Your dinner tomorrow.
100%. Mm-hmm. I'm serious on this. I'm going to send you a picture of what I'm about to eat.
No, I'm sending you the food.
Fine.
Okay.
جديد اكسر الروتين مع أطباقنا الجديدة من بيتزا هات جدة. بيتزا هات جدة ذوق طعم الثقة معنا.
The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service of others. Did that apply to you in your philanthropic work? The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
Oh boy, I thought of something else when you said that, which I'll tell you in a second. But I think when you're of service to others, you're in your most complete, selfless self. You're not thinking about yourself. There's nothing that benefits you physically, emotionally, morally in that moment when you're of service to others. And the way you find yourself, I think, is through the learnings that these situations and people give you. And actually, there's a story that really impacted me. I was 19 years old and I was shopping with my friends in Lebanon. And I was walking and I see 3 children. They were so dirty. Their nails were long. Their clothes were ripped. They looked so tired. And I looked at them and my heart broke in that instance. And I said to them, where are you from? And they told me where they're from. They came by bus. And I said to them, okay, let's go get a meal together. And there was like a fast food chain nearby. And this is a very simple story, by the way. I'm not giving you, but it was really impactful. And so we go to this fast food chain and I buy them some burgers, 1 each. We come back outside and I'm standing there, waiting for them to eat. And I said, why aren't you eating? And they're like, they looked at me and they go, it's rude to eat and you're not eating. Do you have food? And I was like, these children haven't eaten in probably days. And in that moment, had more etiquette, respect. I don't know. It was so pure and innocent. And in that moment, I started crying. And, involuntarily, I didn't want to cry in front of them. I started crying, and one of them ran into a supermarket and bought me a small box of tissues. And I thought, how could you not learn? I mean, if this was not one of life's biggest lessons in that moment, of gratefulness, of giving, of selflessness. They were selfless in that moment, not me. I didn't do anything. I just bought a meal.
What baffles me in that is when you were around someone who you thought maybe could give you nothing, could maybe teach you nothing. And today you're saying that you had one of your life's biggest lessons from that same person who could give you nothing and could teach you nothing on the surface.
15 years ago, of course. I'll never forget it. They're probably 20 years old now. They were 5-6 years old. 5-6 years old saying this. Instead of gobbling down the burger.
Of course.
Or running away with the food, they stood there and watched me like, why aren't you eating?
Is that Lebanese culture? Is that where they get that from? Do you think from?
I don't know.
Al-Karam, the hospitality. It's an Arab thing. That has to be.
Is it? I mean, it's deep inside someone. It's.
But it is. You know how, like, at least in the Bedouin culture in Arabia, the host doesn't eat.
I never eat when I'm hosting.
You don't.
I don't try the food. No.
I don't know what it is, but those kids were raised well.
They were raised well. Maybe it is cultural. Maybe they've seen others not eat, or they were maybe in a situation where they didn't eat while someone else was eating. I think all these things built their empathy, their self-awareness.
It's profound.
Yeah.
What are you spending too much time on these days? Your phone?
Worrying.
Worrying.
I'm such a worrier.
Really?
And not with an A, with an O. Yeah, I'm always, just making sure everyone's okay. Everyone, yeah. No, my phone, no. I'm trying to bring down the screen time. I think you said phone, no. I'm trying to bring that down.
How's that coming along?
It's okay. It's good. Whenever I find myself scrolling too much, I throw it away. Actually throw it.
Okay. Yeah, it can suck you in that.
Yeah, it's terrible. Have you heard of, I mean, I don't know, this concept really messed with my mind recently. It's called the dead internet theory. You haven't heard of it?
I haven't heard of it.
So, long story short, it basically says it's a phenomenon, a little bit of a conspiracy theory that talks about how everything we see online now is created by bots. There's an algorithmic curation for the minimization of actual human content. And I kind of noticed that a little bit because we have so much AI-generated content lately. You have so many kind of voiceovers over random videos. And sometimes I think you need more humans to make more human content, which is what we were talking about. But there's a lot of bots and unnecessary things online.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of AI images or videos or
so unnecessary.
Like they had some crazy video of the Eiffel Tower being hit by an asteroid, and for a second you're like, AI, it's what's real these days.
Yeah.
It brings all that into question.
This is real. You have to be with people, I think. Less on your phone, less behind a screen, and more with people.
Face-to-face interactions. I said it's the only thing keeping me sane these days.
Yeah.
Because my average daytime on the phone is too high. And these 2-hour conversations where I'm away from my phone, it's actually there charging, is the only thing keeping things okay. So when you are overthinking, what do you do to mitigate not to be a psychologist or a therapist, but what do you do to mitigate the overthinking that can transcend to anxiety or, just these unpleasantries? Do you journal? Do you meditate? What do you do?
I think you have to stop yourself in your tracks. And I think worry is driven by fear. So, for example, if I worry about my parents and their health, the emotion behind that is actually fear, because I fear something happening to them. I fear, them being ill. And what's important is you need to look at your fears and you need to say, is this fear justifiable or is it not? And once you actually ask yourself this question, you won't believe things actually disappear from your mind. So if I'm worrying about something and I think to myself, is it justifiable that I'm worried about this? No. I put it back.
Smart. Sometimes the mind can get carried away with scenarios that'll never happen.
I know. The mind is a very dangerous place.
Unbelievably. But I believe that the smartest people in the world only use 10%. Because I see what it does to me on the days where it gets carried away.
You could go into such a dark hole and you have to stop yourself, because the opposite of that is the highest mountain, right? So always take yourself to a place of positivity.
What are you spending too little time on?
Maybe myself. Yeah, self-care. Yeah.
As in this or the body, like workouts?
I think both. They follow each other. I need to be in a good mood to work out. I need to be happy to work out.
Some can say, but Jessica, working out will make you happy.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm stressed, I need to sit down and relax and do slower things. I think people are different. Some get their gratification from working out and peace, and others need to be at peace and then go and work out.
Do you believe in therapy?
Yeah. The right therapy, though. There are a lot of cuckoo therapists out there.
I've had my fair share.
Yeah. I remember once, many years ago, I had a friend who said to me, you have to try therapy. And I booked one session. And I remember telling this therapist a story. This was maybe, 6-7 years ago. And instead of her kind of listening to me, she was like, yeah, that was good what you were doing. Yeah, you could. And it was so forward and kind of validating everything I say. And I was like, you're not for me. But I think therapy is important, but to a certain extent. I think some people are going through issues where they need long-term therapy. They may have childhood traumas or even teenage, adult traumas, whatever it is. They may need therapy for a long time. There are some people who need it for a certain period of time to solve an issue. And others just to go and check in. I have friends who check in with their therapist once a month. They're married. They just want to go once a month and have like a recap of everything that's going on. I think it's very healthy to have a third party sit in and help you and talk to you.
100% on the subject of pre-marriage therapy is something that I would suggest to my kids.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think what's great about that is you get to know someone fully before you get married.
Yeah.
And then you can just have a great, at least everything's out on the table.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing worse, and the scariest part for me,
I know where you're going with this,
is marrying someone and discovering something 1 or 2 or 3 or
and then it's just, especially in Saudi, it was never the case, by the way.
No.
30 years ago, there was 1 or 2 couples that we knew of. And now it's a lot more than that. Officially in Saudi, it is 50%.
It's tough. No one wants to get divorced. No one dreams of that.
No.
Right?
And the kids.
And especially if there are kids.
Yep.
Especially if there are kids.
That's where it's super heartbreaking.
It's very hard.
If there's no kids, it's basically as if, you just broke up with them, as as a previous boyfriend or girlfriend. But when there's kids, that's when things get very awkward.
Yeah.
And
that's why you have to make the right decision as to who you marry. You have to really think deep.
Yeah.
Is this person going to be a good mother, a good father? Are they going to be a good partner? I think being your friend and a partner before being the word husband or wife is what's husband, what's wife? There are qualities that come behind that.
Yeah.
Friendship, respect, having a good time together, communication, conflict resolution.
all of that.
You
really are a lawyer.
Am I? Why?
All the things you just said, conflict resolution, this, that. I'm like, oh my goodness. Are you, as you are today, where you are in life, would you be ready for the step of marriage?
There's nothing more I want than to have a family, my own family and kids. There's nothing more. But it's so important to do it with the right person. It's the biggest decision you'll make in life.
Absolutely.
Contracts you can enter and exit, but if you take marriage seriously, it's you're choosing the father of your children. You're choosing the role model of your children for the rest of their lives. And you need to be at peace with each other. You need to be in a good relationship. You need to be true friends so that your kids can also look up to you and see you as an example so that they don't have any traumas.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. We want to try to minimize.
I think that's the happiest marriage is when the mother and father are at peace together.
Yeah.
It just radiates. You can see, I've seen it in my family, my extended family. I know couples that have chosen well each other and they're happy and they're at peace. And I also see ones who are not, but they're still together for the kids. It's so obvious.
It's so obvious.
Choosing the right partner is the biggest decision you'll ever have to make in your life.
Yeah. Yes.
Got deep. What's a new challenge that you'd like to push yourself to execute in 2025?
A challenge?
Yeah, is it something that you said in 2025, I'm going to do this, or a New Year's resolution that you said, I want to accomplish this in 25?
I want to, I would like to travel to some countries and places I haven't been to before.
Anytime?
I was thinking about it the other day. How many more summers do we have? I'm 36. How many summers do we have where we're in no, need of help?
I think 50. I think the number was 50.
Is it 50? I mean,
50
till I'm
summers.
86,
You get
I could
50
still
summers.
travel. 80, an 86-year-old on a safari. I don't know. I mean, that would be great.
Maybe south of France.
If I could do, yeah. I mean, I'll reserve maybe the slower holidays towards the end. But I would love God give me the health and the strength for another 50 years to do that. But I would love to I haven't been on a safari. I want to see the Northern Lights. I want to go to South America. I want to go to parts of Asia. And, I've been reserving them for special moments and special times and all that. So I hope, I can do that this year.
I love that. Safari, Northern Lights. Those are two bucket list must-dos in one's
Have
life.
you been?
Neither.
Okay.
I'm dying to do Scandinavia.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Asia, there's so much to explore in Asia. And South America, speaking of South America, do you know that El Salvador, in the last couple of years, I saw this documentary with Tucker Carlson and the El Salvadorian president, his name escapes me. It went from the most dangerous country in the world in terms of murders per 100,000 people to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere per murders per 1,000 per 100,000 people.
That's a good leader.
He basically jailed all the criminals in the span of 2 years.
That's a really good leader.
Reversal. You've heard about this story, surely, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I did hear about it, and I saw something else on social media the other day that he did as well. I think it takes a very strong leader to come and send a message to the people that something is allowed or is not allowed, and for people to follow in that. And I think that's great, because that's going to increase their tourism. That's going to benefit the country in more ways than less murders.
Do you know what that told me? Any country can turn it around.
Of course. But you have policies and decision makers and proxies and,
But if you want to, I think the UAE is a great example. 40 years ago, Dubai was a fishing town.
What the UAE has done is incredible. I'm in awe. I mean, I first moved there 13 years ago, and I saw the country get built in 13 years as well. And it's a prime example of a melting pot of education and professionals and nizam. Like, I love that it's so strict, and I love that people are scared to steal or do anything illegal. I mean, in 13 years, I haven't had one tiny problem in Dubai. No one looked at me the wrong way. No one said the wrong thing. I never felt unsafe. I never felt unappreciated, or the opportunities are plentiful. It's a wonderful, wonderful country.
Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid.
Yeah.
He's systematic. He, I mean, and MBS said this. He said that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid showed us what we are capable of.
Yeah.
I mean.
And Saudi, I mean, I haven't been to Saudi in a year, but what the country is doing is incredible. Incredible.
The whole GCC, really. I mean, you look at Qatar and them hosting World Cup, which is obviously one of the most difficult to organize events on the globe. But like, it's a case of a rising tide, and we wish that for all the Arab countries. But 50 years ago, who knew anything about the GCC? Yeah. So there was a reversal there, and it's just a fun thing to think that, the way El Salvador changed it around in 3 years, any country that wants to put their mind to it, policies and everything you refer to, it's doable.
It's 100% doable. Just like if anyone puts their mind to something, they could do it, it's, but you have to make sure, I mean, with places like Lebanon, for example, you have to make sure that there are no outside proxies intervening or impacting the country. Because if it is the will of the people, at the end of the day, everyone wants peace and prosperity and business and, no crime and all that.
It's the what are we willing to do, and what are we willing to forego to achieve that?
Yeah.
That determines it. Have you gotten happier with age? You mentioned that you're 36. Yeah. Have your 30s been happier than your 20s?
I think it's a funny question, because I do have a little bit of a somber feeling when you do mention that, because I think with age, you see people grow old around you, your children growing, your friends building their own families, and time passing by. So that makes me a little bit, not sad, but just nostalgic, that you had a different kind of way of life in your 20s. At the same time, I am way happier because I'm way more confident. I'm doing way more things that I wanted to do. A lot of my dreams are, kind of coming true in my 30s, and in terms of work and life and where I'm at. And I feel today at my best. I feel like today it's where I'd like to be. So happier-ish.
Do you always naturally smile, or are you in a happy place right now?
No, I am always quite smiley. I mean,
it's a good thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. No, I am. I am a very happy person. I truly am. I try to always look at the positive. I'm happy. I try to be in a good mood. I want people around me to be in a good mood. I don't think it takes so much effort to just bring good energy to a room.
Actually takes more energy to be upset than it is to be happy.
Doesn't it take more muscles to frown
It does,
or something?
It does. Yeah, I've heard that. Like 10 times
like I'm
more
using
muscles.
2 right now to do this.
What is something that you'll never want to put up with? A human characteristic that you'll never stand for?
I think ego. My best friend tells me this, your ego is not your amigo. So I think ego, it's very hard to put up with ego. We're all human at the end of the day. I think compassion and empathy are probably the most beautiful things ever. Humility, to be humble, that is what true giving is. That is true leadership. It's not ego, it's humility.
Rare. Ego is not rare. Most people have egos.
We all have an ego, right? Otherwise we won't exist. But your ego needs to, your sense of care for others need to overshadow and override your ego. Once it does that, because if you're a giver and you're with like-minded givers around you, everyone's happy, everyone's giving, everyone's got their ego in a low kind of vibration. But when your ego takes center stage,
it's a problem.
Out the window.
Guilty pleasures? Let us in on your secret.
Chocolate. Chocolate.
Milk or dark?
The milkiest, the cheapest, the worst kind of chocolate. The ones that have like 60 ingredients?
A few come to mind. You know which came to mind?
Which one?
Dairy milk. The one in the London
Dairy
British
milk,
one.
Bueno. I used to microwave Kit Kats.
No.
On a plate.
Genius.
20 seconds was the trick. And then eat it with a fork. It was heaven.
I'm trying that on my cheat day. But maybe in a pan, because I'm trying not to use a microwave anymore.
Yeah, I know. We don't use microwaves either.
But I hear you. Yeah.
Just don't burn it. It has to melt.
Wow.
It's so good. But yeah, it's chocolate.
I thought you were going to say some Swiss,
No, I'm not.
60-year aged.
You know what else? A big bowl of cereal before going to bed. I've been doing that since I was 14 or 15. Like a good bowl of cereal. It's like a hug.
Which cereal?
I used to have the worst kind. I'm trying to do the healthy kind these days. Still chocolate, around the chocolate
Cocoa Puff?
flavor. Of course, I used to do Cocoa Puffs followed by cornflakes because the cornflakes gets the chocolate milk.
Cereal is underrated.
It's an art.
Cereal is, it really is a big hug.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite one was?
Which one?
Captain Crunch.
I've never had
American
that.
one.
What is it?
You never had it?
No.
I don't know how to explain it to you. Okay, you'll send me Mama Rita tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll send you 2 boxes of Captain Crunch.
Okay.
They sell it at a supermarket because I lived in Dubai for 5 years. I know where they sell it.
Okay. That's my guilty
sweet,
pleasure.
Though. It's sweet.
Okay.
I don't think I can enjoy it today.
I mean, you're telling me I'm eating Kit Kats and
still do it.
I haven't lately. I've been trying to curb this sugar craving. I've been okay. Yeah.
A few this or that questions that you need to just not think twice about and answer.
Oh, I love that. Let's go.
Should have started with this, but anyway. Fly or drive?
Fly.
Driver or passenger?
Depends where. I like to drive in places like Australia, but be a passenger in cities where I don't like to drive.
Do you ever drive cross country or from city to city like Sydney, Melbourne?
I've never done that. That would take 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sydney, Melbourne?
But I've done a long drive before, like a 6-8 hour drive.
I went to Great Barrier Reef for my honeymoon.
You did?
It was magical.
How was it?
Hamilton Island was
It's the best.
unbelievable.
It's the best.
Unbelievable. Luckily, I didn't see spiders.
No, there are no spiders there. But they have silica sand in the Whitsunday Island.
Whitsun, that's where we went.
And it's like the whitest sand. And you put it through your fingers and it just kind of...
Never seen anything like it.
Oh, I'm
it
so
was,
happy
It was the most
you went.
magical trip we've ever been on.
It's amazing.
Don't distract me from my questions. Book or movie?
I haven't read a lot of books lately, but I would say like a really good movie that can make you cry. But a book hits differently.
Comedy or horror?
Comedy for sure.
City or suburbs?
Suburbs.
New York or London, if either make a difference?
London.
Meat or fish?
Meat.
Pancake or waffles?
No, don't make me choose. That's unfair.
Like cereal.
Maybe pancakes.
Go out or Netflix and chill?
Netflix and chill.
Feared or loved?
Loved.
90s or modern day?
The 90s were good.
You know, it's a good one when they pause and think 90s. Yeah,
90s
have
are
good
good.
taste. Music or podcasts? Answer with caution.
Podcasts.
Shoes or slippers?
Love slippers.
Swimming pool or beach?
Beach.
Cats or dogs? I think I saw an animal in your
Dogs.
Dogs. What kind of dog?
I have a Cocker Spaniel, Olive.
Small, right?
It's small.
Yeah,
He's
smallish.
12 kilos now. He's
Best friend?
what a personality. I never believed, because this is my first dog. I never had a dog before. My mom was terrified of dogs. She never wanted us to have a dog. And this is my first dog, my first experience. And I used to laugh when people say, oh, look at pictures of my dog, and my dog has this personality and that personality. I thought all dogs are the same. What personality does your dog have? How do you know his personality? He hasn't spoken to you. So my dog, the personality, conniving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He knows what he wants when he wants it. He knows how to get it.
Wallah.
He's very smart. If you don't have a treat, he won't do it. He's like, look, we're negotiating here. Shower, treat.
Bit of a diva.
No treat, no shower.
How old is he?
He's 1. He
He's
just
one?
turned 1 in December.
Oh, wow. And already with a strong personality.
Yes. He's
Incredible.
amazing.
Incredible.
He argues
Inshallah.
back. Olive, sit, and then you'll hear a bit of it's not barking. It's speech.
Yeah, he's fussy.
Yeah.
Do not speak to me that way.
Yeah.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Rain or snow?
I love rain.
Weekends or weekdays?
Weekend.
You're human.
Yeah.
Pizza or pasta?
Oh, I've had a really good pizza lately, but I also love pasta.
Which pizza?
There's a pizza place in Dubai. Oh, I'll send you
Please.
the name. What is it called? There are 2. One is the local foundry, and the other one is, I forgot the name.
Write it down.
I forgot the name. I'll get you the name.
Please. Local Foundry was the first one.
Yeah, local foundry. It's got this hot honey on top.
Interesting.
So good. And the other one was excellent. How did I forget the name? I'll find it for you.
Please.
Very good.
Jeans or sweats?
Sweats.
And finally, how do you like your eggs?
Sunny side up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Anything missing in your life today, Jessica?
We touched upon it, but definitely a husband and children.
Inshallah. So.
Inshallah. I love children, so yeah.
How many do you want?
Sorry?
How many do you want?
How many? As many as God gives me.
5?
I'd have 5 if I can, but I don't know. Is it going to happen? No,
So you want a big family, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Have you let go of any dreams that you once had?
No.
You went after everything.
Dreams are there for us to pursue them until we die. I don't believe in giving up on your dreams. I think you either realize them, sometimes they're halfway there, other times they're unfinished or they never happen, but you have to always dream. Always, always dream.
Are you still dreaming?
Yes, always.
Because it gives you something to chase to?
Yes, yeah.
It's healthy.
There's a Japanese saying that says, always remember your beginner's mind. Always remember that enthusiasm and that, that innocence you have when you first start something or when you were younger or at the onset of anything. I think with life, because we get beaten down in work, in personal life, whatever it is, we get beaten down a lot and we become different versions of ourselves as time goes by. And sometimes as humans, we lose that spark, right? We don't have those wide eyes that children have and the curiosity of the world and that glimmer of hope and dreams in our eyes. And I think if you always remember your beginner's mind, you will continue to dream. You will never stop dreaming. You will tackle everything as if it's the first time. If you love, it's like you're loving for the first time. If you're eating something new or even old, it's like you're eating it for the first time. You're enjoying it. You're happy. So, beginner's mind.
We'll end with these, finish the sentences, and you can be on your way.
Okay.
I feel most alive when...
I'm in the sun.
You love the sun, huh?
Love.
Beach over. I don't think I said beach or...
I'm Australian. It's all about the
between
beach.
that and Beirut.
I mean, you asked me about snow. The first time I went skiing, I was like 15 or 16. I didn't grow up around it.
Yeah.
Sun.
Plus, it's just less logistics going to the beach.
Yeah,
we were
bikini.
Skiing 2 weeks ago, and the logistics that came with my wife and I on skis and 3 kids on skis.
That's a lot.
2 of them who can barely walk. There was a lot of logistics. I was telling her, I was like, a day at the beach would have been so much easier.
Yeah, you need a sled for them all.
You do. The thing I value most in life today is...
Health.
Because the moment we feel anything wrong with us, it's the one thing we want to fix. Nothing else matters.
Nothing can buy health.
No.
Trust me, I know.
It makes you forget about your anything else that's going on in your life.
I made so many deals with God when my mom was sick. Oh, the things I gave up. The things I gave up just for her health. You can't buy it.
How is she now?
Good. Yeah. Monitoring her. She's good. She's in high spirits. She's always positive.
That's great.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. The mind, the positivity of the mind, I think plays a big role as well.
Yeah. Mind over matter.
The thing that bothers me most in life is, we spoke about it, you said ego.
Yeah.
I wish I knew this when I was younger.
That everything's going to be okay.
It's a very popular answer, that.
Is it?
Yeah, I asked these set of questions to a few people before. That everything's going to be okay was the answer I got.
Because we all worry. We're all warriors, no? Yeah.
Are we going to be good enough? Are we going to make it? Am I going to be laughed at? Is this going to work?
No one should be scared, embarrassed of anything. You need to just look at your own life, focus on your own life, and know that everything's going to be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So.
And finally, what did you have for breakfast? No, I'm kidding. I want to be remembered as or I want to be remembered for.
For helping people, being a good person. How many people do we really remember who are now gone? We place so much importance on ourselves. Like, I don't think about that so much, what I want to be remembered for. I don't really. I mean, I answered you now because I need to answer you.
But when you had a second time to think about it.
When I had a second time, it doesn't, we're rarely speaking about people who are gone and their achievements and what they did. Everyone is so involved in the self and what we're doing today. And so I think whatever I do today, I do because I want to make people happy or I want to help, but I don't care if I don't have this like golden sparkly, oh, what she's remembered for later. Obviously, I want my impact to live longer than I do. But
So legacy isn't much.
legacy is, but I think legacy is created through your family, through your businesses, through the way you help. But to be spoken about is not my priority. But legacy is, because legacy, they don't need to speak about you. They need to just continue the work. It's the work that is important. Yeah.
When you mentioned about death and how quickly we forget, I heard a quote that I'll never forget. And that was like a complete reversal in my life's trajectory, but not giving, excuse my French, but a shit about what people think about me or what they say about me behind my back. And the quote was, if you knew how quickly people forget the dead, you will never live another day trying to impress people.
Yes. 100%.
And you realize it with like people, at least in my family, like, wow, it's been a year since that uncle passed away. It's been a year. That tells me that I didn't think about that person
For
in a
year.
year.
And you know, it's I don't know if it's morbid but when we think of when someone dies and we say, oh, they passed away, as if, oh, like, poor thing, that's never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
You know, or, oh, that's so far away from me, like Baid Shar. But we don't know how fragile life is.
True. It's like it's their problem.
We all think we're going to die peacefully when we're 95 in our beds. That's not true. And that's what makes all this so fragile. That's what makes all this so, just enjoy, be happy, do the things you love, be kind, get off that phone, you know, less screen time. I mean, watch this podcast, but less.
Or listen to it.
Listen to it.
Speaking of screen time, I have to read something to you. Can I just get my phone? I think it's charged already. Alex Hormozy posted something earlier today. Another profound post. When I read that today, I was like, you know, just don't live to impress people.
Don't live to impress people.
At your funeral, friends and family will argue over who gets your belongings. People will talk about the food at the venue of your funeral. Your life will be summarized in 2 or 3 paragraphs. Conversations will shift from your life to their life. Your friends will drive away thinking about what's next on their to-do list. This next one got me. Some people won't be able to make it because something came up.
Oh my God.
And most of the people you know today won't even be there. I like ending it on a positive, but...
Way to go.
I think the only positive we can take out of that is...
it is positive. It makes you, yes, enthusiastic for life.
Right.
Yes. Don't worry about what people think. Don't worry. I haven't worried about what people think for years. Just look at yourself and your circle and be happy and do things that make you happy.
With what you have and not what you don't have. Look at what you have.
You will never be satisfied. Yeah. Let's put it out there. The human nature is more.
Yeah.
You need to be happy with what you have today.
Thank you, Jessica. We're going to end on that positivity. Love what you do, what you stand for. We could have easily gone many more hours. but I think this hour plus gave me an opportunity to get to know really what kind of a person you are and the good that you have done. And the funny thing that is life, where you study one thing and here you are in the kitchen making amazing meals, one that I'm going to try tomorrow. You're a beautiful soul.
Thanks.
And thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story.
I just want to say, it really, first of all, it takes one to know one. Thank you so much for your words. I can see the kind-heartedness of your soul shine through, and the way you were speaking about your family when I first got here, and your wife and kids, your eyes were actually glistening with that passion that we were talking about. So I'm sure that's the hat you're wearing, and I want you to get on that flight right away. So, you know, you could finish your work and go see them. But thank you so much for your platform and giving me this opportunity.
Thank you again. And may you do more long form. You're great at it, by the way.
Really?
You really are.
You know, it's my first podcast with you.
I'm honored for that. I really am.
Thank you.
Sometimes there are episodes where I have to look at the next question in case she stops talking. And it just all came so naturally.
Thank you.
You really, really, first of all, thank you for answering every question.
You helped.
And you're good at this. Do more of this.
Thank you.
It suits your personality.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you. You're the best, really.
And we will cross paths soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.